Okay. Hi, I'm Ala,
And I'm Sarah.
and I'm a Christian, like a believer. And what the hell? This is my dog. This is my dog, Mela. And
And she's very affectionate. And I'm not an atheist. I would consider myself an agnostic. But I am very interested in religion and what it can teach us, because it can teach us a whole lot, despite what is being said now. So.
right, and like just to clear up, like what she said, the way people are like, you're confused if you're agnostic, which sorry, that's my making fun of people voice, which is not a thing. But yeah, I think that's really ridiculous that people think that, because it's kind of ignorant. Everyone's entitled to their views.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's not a bad thing to be uncertain and to explore what you are uncertain about. This is my view, that I do not know either way. I cannot say that there isn't something, nor can I say that there is. And I as far as like morality and everything, it is important to see all there is. I guess.
Okay, so like I put the intro of what this video is about in the description, but first of all, let's discuss, like religion, Christianity. First of all, Christianity is one of the, in my opinions, it's more of like a freer form of religion, because we have all these different stems of it, because apart from people's needs to kind of branch out, and it gives you this openness, it's not as strict, so people want to have their own thing and try to make it into something else. So we have all these different sects. And then we have Islam, of course, and we have Buddhism, Hinduism, I guess Taoism is a religion,
yeah.
Hedonism,
Yeah.
Epicureanism is kind of hedonism.
They're like, those are more like philosophy.
There's more
true. I mean, ultimately,
would you say
like
Satanism is a religion? Do they consider themselves a religion? I don't know.
I don't know.
I can't ever really understand Satanists.
So, like,
they're not clear to me.
A blurry line with what, like, philosophy
and religion.
And religion, like, in essence, like, philosophy, like, a philosophy will have, like, a moral code or something, and, like, different rules to follow, different, like,
it's more of an idea.
Things like, yeah, it's like a... So,
whereas a religion is more set in stone, you can say, I think so.
I think it's more of like a practice thing. Philosophy is more of like, broader discussion kind of. Like,
yeah, philosophy is more like developing, whereas religion is more already developed, I would think.
Yeah, I mean it changes, but it's just the way it is approached, that think like I guess like someone who practices a religion, that brings like, that is practiced in a whole variety of areas within your life, whereas like a philosopher might just kind of like, yes, it'll affect their thinking, but they might not really take it out into active practice in their day by day. That would be the biggest difference that I would think about that.
Okay, so let's talk about, so we have all these different kinds of religions. I mean, the advantage of religion, obviously, one big advantage is having structure. Yeah. There's the whole idea of structure, or even a philosophy really is having that structure available, really, and a lot of the laws in most countries, even though not explicitly, in some explicitly, are drawn from the ideas in religion, the idea of, not stealing or not killing other people. These are constructs that are already developed in human nature.
Right.
It's part of human nature. But that's because we've drawn these from like our religions, which go way, way back and are formed as part of us, really. And personally, I believe that you should never mix church and state, and not church as in Christianity, but like religion and state. Like you shouldn't. But in a what I say, like a situation where the entire country is one religion and the entire country is one culture, I guess people are entitled to do that. But I'm Nigerian, and I would say in my country, where we have different kinds of what is considered more African voodoo and Islam and Christian, it's kind of ridiculous that so many of our laws are based on religion when there's no clear religion. and there's so many different tribes and traditions. It leads us to create laws that are usually trampling on different human rights of certain people. And we do have people who are atheists, not that common, but some. And we have agnostics too. So it's not something that, I mean, it's not common. Most Nigerians have a religion or a system of belief. But I think that in that case, it's drawing so closely to the way you run your state might be a problem. But in the broader aspect, religion gives people like a sense of right and wrong.
Yeah.
You know, do this, don't do that.
Yeah. I mean, I think this, my personal view about I would say most religions, like I don't wanna say all of them because I'm not familiar about all of them. Of the few that I've
That's just my dog.
Been I don't even know if they'll hear that. But anyway, I think that there is a moral code is within religion as like I'm not sure, I can't even I don't know the book Oxford dictionary definition of what religion as a whole is, but when I see religion, like when people go, like for example Christianity, you go to church and you're being taught morals and
she came
you're
to
reading
church today.
I did, and it was legit. Like I mean seriously, it's not like I mean people
You're
go
going
there like
to hell.
you know I'm like they're gonna sprinkle water on me and I'm gonna like melt like the Wicked Witch in the West or something. Like no, I mean there's a lot to be learned. Like it is a lot of lessons about the self, about helping others, about seeing what's going on with you, bringing it back, you know, to this book that is, I mean, it's got a whole lot of messages. It frustrates me when people are taking all sorts of words out of context and saying like, oh well, that's got to be everything, completely disregarding all the other words within this scripture that is teaching like lessons that we need to learn, like understandings that we need to really like approach in a healthy way. Like yes, there, it's not perfect. Like this world is not perfect, but you know that doesn't mean that we shouldn't try to make it better. We shouldn't try to improve. We have to keep on going forward with that.
That
we
is
have
true.
to like, you know, we have to just give. Just because there is violence doesn't mean that we have to be violent back.
Exactly.
You know, so this is why I just, when I'm thinking about extremists, right?
For instance.
Yeah, like I mean what would be an example of like
Okay, like an extreme, you know, when you think about Al-Qaeda, or you think about even the Nazis were extreme, but that wasn't religious, that was anti-religion.
Yeah.
Or anti a certain sect,
Like
even more so.
ultimately-
Those people are taking what is a certain religion and even starting to attack members of their religion who they believe aren't doing what they're supposed to do.
Right.
They're doing what they consider more of a cleansing. When you have like the idea of genocide come into play, that sort of thing.
Right.
When people are like, this is peace, we need cleansing, we need only a certain kind of person. Then you have this like selective kind of like society, and when you have selective society, that is not right. You as a human cannot choose what human is good enough. Mm-hmm. We're not, first of all, no human is perfect, so who am I to choose who should live?
Like who's the best?
Like who's the best?
Who deserves life? Who is worth the most? It's like no, like my view is that life, people, all of us, individuals are intrinsically valuable.
That is true.
We are important, and when there are extremists in a whole bunch of religions. Even like, you know, there are all sorts of rules that people, like some people will find them condescending, like they will find them like rather controversial, and they will take it out of context, and they will say, oh, well, look at them. Look at what they're doing. Oh, they must all be like that. Just because somebody is screaming the loudest within a crowd does not mean that is the entire
And that's
crowd.
when we have like the mob mentality.
Right.
The mob mentality comes to play.
Say there's a group of people and they do not know why they're there. Or maybe they're just gathering there for whatever reason, for different reasons maybe. And one person shouts something, like maybe something like, oh, this is injustice, or this is this, or something maybe that has nothing like nothing in unison, nothing like broadly shared amongst everybody. Somebody else says something different, and then eventually people are like, they're the mob, they're the angry mob, and they don't even know why they're fighting. They're not aware of what they're fighting for, but they're just fighting for the sake of it. And that people will see that and just follow, like, someone's angry and they'll just say, well, oh, they're angry, I must just follow suit.
That is true. And also you must realize that so many religions, for example, Islam really is not as violent as it is portrayed to be. Yeah. It has certain things that are its laws, and I'm not going to discuss that and go into something that I haven't studied all my life. But for instance, Ramadan, it's supposed to help you identify with how the poor live, and the fasting is supposed to bring you closer to Allah. And that time, at the end of Ramadan, when you have the Eid, you have the festival and you give food away to the less fortunate. And the mosques here, at the end of Eid, they give free food when people break the fast every day. Mm-hmm. So that idea, that concept of drawing closer, of caring for the less fortunate, for instance, that is in that religion itself. There's a strictness in Islam. You don't drink. There's certain things you don't do. And it teaches a lot of self-control. It's a religion that has a lot of self-control in it. Buddhism is a very peaceful kind of religion. It's not really, people paint it to be some.
I mean, they paint it in a different way. They say that it's just kind of like, you go there, you're meditating for your entire life.
Yeah.
It's not
like they're not actively doing something,
not doing anything, maybe
which is untrue, because they're not passive.
Yeah.
They're more of like doing things.
Right.
And Hindu has more of like, they're like different things. But one thing I've learned from the people who I've met who are Hindi is that they have a lot about protecting what is given to us as far as like the earth, Right. And I think that's important. Christianity a lot talks about, I'm Christian, and there's a lot of things, but one important thing that is always important as a Christian is to love not just yourself and God, but to love others, and to love in an unconditional way. Right. So to say that those religions are based on violence, and Epicureanism, which is a form of hedonism.
I was just I'm taking a humanities class, and we were just talking about this, that my misunderstanding was
and
that,
mine too.
Yeah, we both had misunderstood this, that Epicureanism was kind of driving pleasure to excess. And it's actually, that's what hedonism is. Hedonism is basically like a catch-all phrase for that would be that there is never enough pleasure.
Like you can just
you can never have too much. You go out all that you can. Sensory pleasures are, they're limitless, blank. You go on and you just find out everything you can, be it lust, gluttony, whatever you can.
Whatever.
Just do, and
no moderation.
Right, and Epicureanism is different in that you still are striving for pleasure. That is going to provide you with happiness, but you do that in a kind of mindful way.
Like a good kind of pleasure.
Yeah, like a good kind of
not
pleasure. Like
pleasure that would harm others.
Right, like Epicurus actually understood, because he had been reading about hedonism and thought, well, life is limited, so why not
embrace
all of life? See, there's all this kind of black and white, that you have to be either one or the other, that you have to be for pleasure or completely pessimistic. It's not the case. But
not really.
Like in Epicureanism, there's this term like, oh, that was an Epicurean delight. And I didn't even think about it, but say you have a dessert, right? Because I have a sweet tooth. Like, you have dessert. you have a dessert, and it's small, but it's delicious, and it fulfills you because it is providing that sweetness that you crave, that you want. But you're not having it in excess. You're not being gluttonous, but you're still appreciating what you like. And
right.
you're still kind of limiting yourself, giving yourself enough discipline to say, okay, I'm not just forbidden from having what I like, but at least I'm having in a way that I can still appreciate it. Think, if you had everything you wanted for every day of your life, how could you ever want it?
What would you appreciate?
What you wouldn't.
And how would you feel about other people?
Right.
It's so, you can't just be selfish about it. You
Exactly.
know, okay, this makes me think, we were getting to this, but for instance, think about like this idea now, you know, especially with young adolescents, think about the phrase, you know, you don't have to worry about anyone. You know how musicians put in their songs and they're like, I'ma do me, you know, I don't care about you.
Yeah.
That idea is, to me, it's just so close-minded. It's like there's you and maybe a circle of what, your family and your friends.
It's the us versus
Us versus the world, and that idea too in movies, it's just us versus the world, and people romanticizing that idea, and it's not only unrealistic, it's also quite selfish, to be honest, because the world is bigger than just us and me and my friends, and if I don't see that, you know, I'm gonna need someone in the world. There's things to learn from the world, and there's things I can give back to it. I'm not saying that you should focus on never improving you, but you improve you so you can as well better others. Not that others' opinions should count as what betters you. That's not what I mean. But such that you should care how others are affected by your actions and your words. You should use them to build people as opposed to destroying people. And like, say I say something and I don't think about it being hurtful, and later I'm like, wow, that must have been really bad. You know, I can try to change it. Sometimes it helps. And sometimes you can't take back what you've said. You can't change it.
The way I think about it is that, so there's this word karma, and it is a quite deep term, concept. It is there's a lot to it, and yet people just kind of throw it around. Somebody wrongs them and, oh, karma's gonna get them. You do not take pleasure in somebody having an unfortunate experience. Don't take pleasure in that. There's a whole realm of, in my eyes, like an equal exchange going around. You have good in you, you give good to others, good comes back to you, you give it back again. It's just exchange back and forth. That's this life. People are trying to, I don't know, act like, oh, if we just worry about ourselves, it's okay. Like, it doesn't matter what happens to these other people, because it does. Whatever, like, yes, this world is big. Yes, there is, you know, states, cities, towns, countries, you know, continents, all of this. But it doesn't distract from what is going on beyond you is not separate from you.
Like how people say, you talk about something that happened in the news and they're like, oh, you know, I'm not really into that current affair politics stuff. Hello, we are, what, most of the people, my friends, maybe 18 to 24. And I'm like, if you don't care about politics, you're going to vote for the next president. You're maybe going to end up in Congress. You don't care now. These people make the laws that affect you. We have to care about the world around us, and not just in that way, like, you know, knowledge. And I don't want to stray from what we're talking about. We're talking about religion and divides and how people don't care to, like, understand other people's views before bashing them. But it's the same thing. You know, you must seek knowledge and understanding before forming an opinion, and please have an opinion. You are allowed to have an opinion. And you are allowed to voice it.
Yes, and discuss it.
Discuss it.
Fully and truly, like, really, like, it's important to when you're trying to argue something. See, I took this ethics class a while back, and I learned how to.
I'm an engineer.
And so what I learned is how to formulate an argument. Not what arguments are good or what arguments are bad, but just how. I was given the tools. My classmates were also given these same tools, and forming, like, what is key is forming a very concise argument. You explain everything, and you also address something that might conflict what you're trying to put out there. And some people in my see, as an agnostic, right? people might come and say, well, oh, you're just a you're just a confused atheist. Like, just, pick one. And I'm like, excuse me, because I'll go to, Facebook especially, there are all these different pages, people saying like, oh, I am the atheist, I am logical, I make sense. You religious people don't make sense. They will say that to people. It's again another us versus them. And you are not helping someone when you are showing contempt to someone. You cannot,
exactly.
Right, like you
it's
can't
counterintuitive.
You can't say that atheists are about peace and then say hurtful things
and be so violent verbally,
violent, aggressive things like that they need to go, that they shouldn't be here. Like, no, that's not changing this world for the better. And that's not teaching you anything about, like, about morality. There's no morality in, like, contempt for that's not a moral act. That's not, so when I was learning about this argument for formation, you have to talk about both sides. Like, I
understand both
seriously,
sides.
And
really.
Understand, like, really go all like that you can to understand what you're trying to argue for or against. And how is it that people can say something against Christianity? They will pick out all the lines that they want to out of the Bible, and they will say, oh, that's all that there is in there. That's not all there is. That's not all there is. That's all I'm trying to say, that, like, you can pick out something that is unpleasant, and that is the same about this life. There are people, and in a group of people, there might be extremists in there. That does not mean one person can shout, rant, and rave. That does not mean it's everybody.
This is true.
And it's unreasonable for somebody to say that they're the logical ones when they are unwilling to look further into anything. They look at the surface and they say, okay, I'm done.
We miss and just try to, basically this video was just about talking about religion, and we know it's a dicey topic, so we're not bashing anyone's beliefs. That's not what we're doing.
Right.
We're just trying to explain that there's different beliefs, and we shouldn't just be out there trying to attack everything. We should just think more. So leave your comments and let's play the philosophy game and whatnot, and that's about it. Turn the camera off. Turn it off.
Okay.
Oh my god. We have to cut out this part.
I probably